I had always believed I had it all: wealth, influence, and Bella by my side. Tonight's gala should have been another flawless event, but her eyes told a different story. Adrian, do you always need to invite every socialite in the city? Bella's voice was calm but cold, her hand brushing my arm lightly. I thought you liked meeting people, I said, forcing a smile. Networking is important. You know that. She tilted her head, a small smirk playing at her lips. I like genuine people, not pretending ones. I frowned, trying to mask my irritation. Pretending? Bella, this is just the gala. Everyone's here for appearances. And you? She asked softly, eyes piercing mine. Are you really here for appearances too? Her words sank in deeper than I expected. I opened my mouth to reply, but she turned gracefully toward the crowd, leaving me momentarily speechless. Something bothering you? Ethan's voice pulled me back. My younger brother leaned casually against the wall, observing the gala as if he owned it. I don't know, I admitted, shaking my head. Bella's distant tonight. It's subtle, but I feel it. Distant? She's been more than subtle lately. You need to listen, Adrian. You can't just buy her affection, Ethan said, eyes sharp. I laughed lightly. Affection isn't bought. You know that. She knows I love her. That should be enough. Ethan shook his head. Love isn't about ownership. Don't blind yourself. You've got everything, but maybe you're missing what she really needs. I brushed it off, but Sophia's soft voice reached me from across the room. Adrian, maybe Ethan's right. She's not just tired, she's frustrated. Try asking her instead of assuming. I turned to look at Bella again. She was laughing with someone across the room, but her eyes never met mine. I approached her carefully. Bella, may I have a word? I asked, trying to keep my tone casual. She glanced at me, eyebrow raised. I suppose. We stepped aside, the music fading behind us. You've seemed off lately. Did I do something wrong? Bella shook her head slowly. No, Adrian, it's not you. It's us, or rather what you think love should be. I frowned, confused. What do you mean? Her gaze softened for a moment, then hardened. You think love is possession, Adrian. But I want freedom. The words hit me like a blade. For a moment, I was speechless, watching the woman I thought I understood completely reveal a truth I hadn't seen. I don't understand, I stammered, trying to steady my voice. You will eventually, she said, slipping back into the crowd, leaving me with my thoughts, my pride, and the first hint of a storm I hadn't anticipated. And just like that, the perfect world I had built, the life I had controlled, felt fragile for the first time. Dinner had never felt this hollow. Bella sat across from me, her eyes scanning the table, barely meeting mine. Another bottle of the chateau? I asked, signaling the waiter. Bella shrugged. If you insist. I forced a smile, trying to mask my unease. I thought you liked this wine, your favorite, right? She laughed lightly, but it didn't reach her eyes. I like it when someone notices, Adrian. Not when they just throw money at it. Her words hit harder than I expected. I set down my fork. I'm trying, Bella. I want you happy. Happy? She echoed, tone dripping with skepticism. Do you even know what that means for me? I frowned, irritation and confusion mixing. I thought I did. We've shared everything: travel, dinners, gifts. Her gaze sharpened. Everything but understanding. The words stung, but I swallowed them. Understanding, then tell me. What am I missing? Before she could answer, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen, an unknown number. My gut twisted as I read the message. Meeting at the park tomorrow. Don't tell Adrian. I froze. Betrayal? A hidden conversation? My mind raced. I hid the phone in my pocket, watching Bella as if she could sense the tremor in me. Are you listening? She asked, voice sharper now. Yes, I said quickly. Sorry, I was thinking. Please go on. I'm saying, she leaned forward, that love isn't about control. You can't fix everything with money, Adrian. Some things need space. I clenched my jaw. Space? My pride bristled. Bella, I've given you everything. She shook her head slowly. It's not about enough. It's about choice. Her words hung between us. I felt my chest tighten. Choice. Something I hadn't considered. I had always assumed my love meant she'd stay grateful, satisfied. Later that night, I found myself wandering my penthouse. Phone in hand, trying to make sense of the message. Why would she hide something from me? And why did it sting so much to think she could be deceiving me? A soft knock pulled me from my thoughts. Sophia stepped in, her brow furrowed. You're pacing again. Talk to me. I let out a frustrated sigh. I don't get her. I thought I knew her. It's like I can't reach her at all. Sophia leaned against the wall. Adrian, you've been seeing her the way you want, not the way she is. Have you ever asked her what she really wants without expecting it to fit your world? I hesitated. I thought I had, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe I've been blind this whole time. You have, she said gently. And that's why she seems distant. Not because she doesn't love you, but because she feels trapped in a life she didn't choose. Her words settled heavily in me. Trapped. My pride fought against it. But a sliver of fear crept in. Could she leave me? Could all this wealth, all this effort, mean nothing if she wants her own path? Later, I caught her checking her phone, quickly hiding it when she noticed me. My chest ached not from jealousy alone, but from the dawning realization that I might be losing her. And if I did, it wouldn't be because I failed materially, it would be because I failed to truly understand her heart. For the first time, I felt powerless. I was in the study, reviewing documents, when Bella appeared in the doorway. The look on her face stopped me cold. Adrian, we need to talk, she said, voice steady but firm. I set the papers down. Of course. What's wrong? Her eyes didn't waver. I can't do this anymore. I blinked. Can't do what? Bella, you're scaring me. She stepped inside, shutting the door behind her. I can't breathe in your world. All this wealth, all this control, it suffocates me. I swallowed hard. Suffocates you? Bella, I provide everything you could ever want. I thought, you thought what? She interrupted sharply. That love is measured by gifts, trips, and luxuries? Adrian, I love you, but I need my freedom. My chest tightened. Freedom? Do you realize what you're saying? She took a deep breath. I'm saying I want independence. Even if it means starting over. Even if it means poverty. The word hit me like a punch. Poverty. My mind refused to process it. You're leaving? You choose that over me? I need to live my life on my terms, she said. Her hands trembled slightly, but her gaze was fierce. I can't stay in a gilded cage, Adrian, I won't. I've loved you more than anyone could, and you call it a cage? She stepped closer, her eyes glistening. It's not the gifts, Adrian. It's the way you try to control every detail, every choice. I can't breathe under your shadow anymore. I felt a surge of anger mixed with disbelief. So what? You just walk out? After everything? Just like that? Yes, she whispered, almost shaking. I have to. I won't live someone else's dream. I took a step toward her. Bella, I can change. No, you don't get it. This isn't about changing you. It's about changing me. I have to choose my own path, even if it's hard. Even if it's lonely. Her words cut deeper than any argument I'd faced before. I opened my mouth to protest, to beg, to make her see reason, but I found no words strong enough. She moved past me toward the door. I'm leaving now, Adrian. Please don't try to stop me. I need to do this on my own. I felt my knees weaken. Bella, wait. But she didn't. She slipped out of the penthouse, the click of the door echoing like a hammer against my chest. I sank into the nearest chair, head in my hands. Rage and heartbreak warred within me. How could she walk away? How could she choose struggle over comfort? Over me? I wanted to chase her, to beg, to scream. But something in me, a flicker of clarity, made me pause. She needed this. She had made her choice, and no amount of wealth, power, or love could change that. Still, my pride wouldn't let me admit defeat, not yet. Not to her. Not to myself. I leaned back, staring at the city lights outside the window. My empire, my achievements, my control, none of it mattered if the person I loved chose to leave. For the first time, I realized love wasn't about possession. It was about understanding. About letting go, even if it destroyed me inside. I let out a shuddering breath. I wouldn't chase her tonight. I wouldn't beg her back, but I would understand. I had to. Because if she wanted freedom, I couldn't cage it. Even if that meant losing her forever. The office was quieter than usual, but my mind was louder. Every deal, every contract, every email felt mechanical. I thought I was focused, but Bella's absence was a shadow in every corner. Leo leaned against my desk, arms crossed. You've been staring at that screen for an hour. Everything okay? I'm fine, I said, not looking up. Just busy. Busy? Adrian, you're killing yourself over numbers when your heart's clearly elsewhere, he said, raising an eyebrow. Maybe not, but it pays consequences. Haven't you noticed your focus slipping? I clenched my jaw, hiding the tremor in my hands. I said I'm fine. Leo didn't push further. Instead, he shrugged and wandered off, leaving me to wrestle with the memories I'd tried to suppress. Bella's laugh, the sharp glint in her eyes when she teased me, the softness when she leaned on my shoulder, it all haunted me. Later, Ethan walked in, concern written all over his face. Adrian, you're shutting everyone out. You can't just bury yourself in work and expect this to fade. I don't need lectures, I muttered. I need results. Ethan frowned. You need perspective, not spreadsheets. You're punishing yourself for something that isn't entirely your fault. I shot him a sharp look, isn't it? Maybe if I had listened, really listened, she wouldn't have left. Maybe if I'd understood, he didn't interrupt. He just nodded slowly, letting me wrestle with my guilt. The city lights blurred against my office windows as memories kept surfacing. Bella at the gala, her subtle coldness that night, the way she said she needed freedom, it wasn't just words. It was a warning I failed to heed. I slammed my laptop shut, startling Leo, who had returned silently. You okay? He asked. I will be, I said, voice tight, just processing. He studied me a moment longer, processing or regretting. I didn't answer. The truth was unbearable. Regret was consuming me. Every decision I had made, every gesture I thought would keep her close, had only driven her away. Days passed in a blur of meetings and phone calls. I threw myself into business with a ferocity that unnerved even my competitors. Deals were won, rivals outmaneuvered, but every victory felt hollow without her acknowledgement. Then, the rumor reached me. A whispered conversation in a cafe, fragments of words carried by strangers. Bella surviving hardship alone. I froze, coffee cup trembling in my hand. Surviving? Alone? The idea twisted my stomach. Somehow, she was out there, living without the safety net I had provided, choosing struggle over comfort. I wanted to call her, to find her, to demand she return, but I didn't. My pride, my wounded heart, and the flicker of understanding stopped me. She wanted her freedom, and chasing her would only prove me wrong. Yet the images wouldn't stop. Her sharp tongue, the warmth of her smile, the vulnerability she had let me glimpse it, all tormented me. Each memory was a reminder that I had failed to see her fully, failed to hear her, failed to protect her in the way she truly needed. Ethan noticed my silence during a late-night strategy session. You can't keep pretending this is just business, he said softly. She's out there, and you're still here blaming yourself. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Instead, I sat back, staring at the city lights, letting the void consume me. For the first time, I understood the depth of absence. And for the first time, I felt powerless. The morning sunlight barely touched my office when Marcus Reed's name flashed across my inbox. A key deal one I had been negotiating for weeks was suddenly at risk. My first instinct was irritation. A prick of anger fueled by exhaustion and lingering thoughts of Bella. Ethan appeared at my door, frowning. I heard Marcus is trying to undercut you. Mixing personal grief with business is dangerous, Adrian. I know, I said, scanning the figures on my screen. But grief doesn't mean I'm weak. It won't stop me from winning. Leo leaned against the wall, smirking. Famous last words. You've been distracted, though. Marcus knows it. He'll push every advantage. I rubbed my temples. Then I'll have to remind him why underestimating me is a mistake. By midday, Marcus arrived at the boardroom, his usual smirk plastered on his face. Adrian, he drawled. I hear you've been distracted. Such a shame when opportunities are slipping through your fingers. Marcus, I replied evenly, voice calm but sharp. Distraction doesn't equal defeat. And neither arrogance nor greed can buy success where strategy reigns. He chuckled, sliding a folder across the table. Strategy? Let's see if your strategy can survive a little pressure. I opened the folder, eyes scanning his underhanded proposals, clauses meant to sabotage the deal. My jaw tightened. Pressure is what makes diamonds, Marcus. You're testing me, but I've never been the type to break. Julian Carter, my associate, leaned in quietly. Watch the deadlines. He's banking on emotional mistakes. Keep your cool, Adrian. I nodded, voice low. I've learned the hard way. Emotion without control is suicide in business and in life. Marcus smirked again. Confidence won't save you from reality. I met his gaze steadily. Reality favors preparation. And I'm ready. Negotiations stretched for hours, each sentence, each number, a battlefield. I countered every attempt to corner me, leveraging intelligence and experience. Marcus tried to push harder, sense my distraction, but I had sharpened focus and restraint like never before. Ethan appeared at my side during a brief pause. See? Your personal struggles aren't flaws. They're fuel. Focus, Adrian. Don't let the past dictate your moves. I exhaled slowly, internalizing the advice, Bella's choice. Her insistence on independence, even poverty, was no longer just heartbreak. I began connecting it with ambition. She wanted control over her life, to survive on her own terms, and I had finally grasped the dignity in that desire. Marcus leaned back, smug. Looks like you're surviving. Barely. I tilted my head, lips curling slightly. Surviving isn't enough. Thriving is. Hours later, the deal was secured on my terms. Marcus' frustration was barely contained. His smirk faltered. Julian tapped my shoulder. That was brutal. You handled him perfectly. I nodded, though my victory was tempered by reflection. Perfect? Maybe. Necessary. Absolutely. But I can't let success make me forget why I fight. Not for power alone, but for control over myself and my choices. Ethan smiled. And Bella? Are you connecting the dots? I am, I admitted. She's fighting for control too. Not over me, but over herself. That's the lesson I needed to see. Pain teaches perspective, and power without understanding is meaningless. Leo smirked from across the room. Well, the empire is still yours, boss. Heartbreak hasn't made you weak, it made you sharper. I allowed a faint smile to cross my face. Sharper, wiser, and learning to let life teach its lessons. That includes her, Marcus, and even me. Marcus stormed out, leaving me with a quiet satisfaction that had little to do with victory over him. It had to do with clarity, with understanding, with realizing that personal grief and professional strength could coexist and even thrive. I leaned back in my chair, glancing at the city skyline. Loss and ambition intertwined, but I was finally learning to master both. I was in the cafe downtown, pretending to review reports on my tablet, when Sophia slid into the seat across from me. You look like hell, she said bluntly, sipping her coffee. Thanks for the concern, I muttered, not looking up. I'm fine. She gave me a sharp look. Fine? You're still obsessed with her. You can't pretend you're okay, Adrian, I heard. Don't, I interrupted, gripping my mug. Don't tell me about her. I don't want to know. She leaned closer, voice low. You need to know. Bella's struggling. She's living modestly. Not poor, but nothing like the life she had with you. She's scraping by. I froze, my stomach twisting. Modestly? She left me by choice. She chose this, exactly. And she's paying the price for her choice, Sophia said gently. But you're human, you feel guilty. That's natural. I slammed the table lightly. Guilty? Why? She wanted this. She wanted freedom. Isn't that what she said? I should respect her choice. Respect doesn't mean silence, Sophia said. You can care without suffocating, you can help without controlling. Her words struck me harder than I expected. I wanted to call her, to send someone to check on her, but pride fought me. Should I respect her independence or save her from hardship? Clara appeared suddenly, almost as if on cue, sitting beside Sophia. I heard you're worried about Bella, she said softly. It's hard watching someone you care for struggle. But sometimes the lesson is in surviving. Easy for you to say, I snapped. You haven't loved her the way I have. You haven't watched her choose pain over comfort. Clara flinched, but didn't retreat. That's the point, Adrian. You loved her so much you tried to protect her, control her even. But maybe real love is letting her face reality herself, even if it hurts you. I rubbed my face, trying to quiet the storm inside. Sophia reached over, placing a hand on mine. You're human. You want to protect her, but maybe you need to trust her choices. Maybe that's the only way she can truly grow. I looked at them both, my mind a whirlwind of pride, love, and guilt. Every instinct screamed to act, to rescue her, to erase the struggle she had chosen. Yet a strange sense of understanding began to form, soft and alien in my chest. What if she fails? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Then she learns, Sophia said firmly. Just like you would if the roles were reversed. We all grow through our hardships. Sometimes love means stepping back. Adrian, even when it's the hardest thing you'll ever do. I stared down at my coffee, swirling it slowly. I had spent so long thinking love was control. That giving everything meant keeping someone. And now I saw that might have been the problem all along. I thought about her, living modestly, facing the world without my protection. My heart ached, yet a quiet respect grew in its place. She had chosen her path. I could rage, chase her, or interfere, but perhaps, for the first time, I could let her live it. Maybe you're right, I admitted softly, more to myself than to them. Maybe real love isn't holding on. Maybe it's letting go. Sophia and Clara exchanged a small smile. Exactly, Clara said. It's hard, but it's real. For the first time, the storm inside me settled slightly. I wasn't ready to forgive fully, not yet, but I understood a little more. Bella had her freedom, and I had a choice. Let her live it, or destroy it with my pride. I took a deep breath, letting the weight of it settle. For now, compassion would be my guide. I didn't expect to see her. Not here, in this small, almost forgotten cafe on the edge of the city. But there she was, sitting alone at a corner table. Eyes fixed on a cup of coffee like the world around her didn't exist. Bella. My voice came out louder than I intended. She looked up, eyes narrowing. Adrian. No smile. Just a steady, unflinching gaze. I walked toward her cautiously. Mind if I join you? She shook her head. I do. I paused. I didn't expect to see you here. You're far from the world you've been living in. I needed to get away from your world, she said, voice sharp. All the glitz, the rules, the control, I needed to breathe. Breathe? I repeated. Bella, I've been trying to give you everything. I thought I was protecting you. You were, she said, bitter but soft. But protection isn't love, Adrian. It's suffocation. I swallowed hard. Suffocation? I thought I was showing you my love. Everything I did, it was for you. She shook her head. You don't get it. Love isn't possession. Love isn't control. You think if you give enough, you can keep someone. But you can't. I felt my chest tighten. So all this distance is my fault? No, she said quickly. It's not about fault. It's about choices. I chose freedom, Adrian. Even if it means hardship. Even if it means leaving the comfort you gave me. Her words cut deeper than I expected. Pride fought my heart. My instincts screamed to rescue her. But I forced myself to stay seated. You don't have to struggle alone, I said quietly. Let me help you. Let me. No, her hand shot up, stopping me. Don't. I didn't come here to be saved. I came here to live on my terms. I have to figure things out myself. I leaned back, trying to control the surge of anger and desperation. You think I was controlling? I was protecting you? I loved you, Bella. She laughed bitterly, almost a whisper. Protecting? You call control protection? You think owning everything, giving everything, will keep me close. But you were wrong, Adrian. Completely wrong. I clenched my fists under the table. So that's it? You walk away and leave me here powerless? I'm not leaving to hurt you, she said softly, her eyes glistening. I'm leaving to save myself. You taught me a lot, Adrian, but I can't stay in a cage, gilded or not. Silence fell between us. The faint hum of the cafe made everything feel sharper, more intimate, more painful. I wanted to reach across the table, to tell her I understood, that I could change. But something inside me held back. Then you really mean it, I said finally. No compromise. No coming back. Her gaze didn't waver. I mean it. I have to do this on my own, please respect that. I nodded slowly, pride and heartbreak colliding in a storm I couldn't tame. I understand. She smiled faintly, just enough to break me. Goodbye, Adrian. And before I could speak again, she stood and walked toward the door. The bell above chiming softly, as if marking the end of something sacred. I watched her go, my heart hammering, my mind racing. Love versus independence. Comfort versus freedom. Pride versus vulnerability. I had faced it all, and for the first time I realized there were no victories here, only choices. I sat there long after she left, the cafe feeling emptier than it ever had before, knowing I had glimpsed the strength of the woman I loved and the cost of letting her go. I arrived at the office early, the city still half asleep, but I was already alert, already calculating. Losing Bella had left a void, but I couldn't let it consume me. Not completely. Leo approached, coffee in hand. You're here early, haven't slept. Sleep is overrated, I muttered. I have work to do. Deals to secure. Control to regain. He raised an eyebrow. Control? Or revenge? I smirked faintly. Maybe both. I'm done feeling powerless. If she thinks she's teaching me a lesson, she's mistaken. At my desk, I reviewed contracts with meticulous care, finding loopholes competitors had overlooked. Each small victory fueled a spark inside me. Pride, anger, focus it blended into something sharper, something unstoppable. Ethan appeared mid-morning, leaning casually against the doorway. I heard Marcus Reed tried to hijack your deal yesterday. Thought you were distracted. Distracted? I said, scanning the numbers in front of me. I might have been. But mistakes have consequences. Marcus will learn that soon enough. You're different these days, Ethan said quietly. More precise, more ruthless. I chuckled, though it didn't reach my eyes. Heartbreak has its perks. It forces clarity. You learn who matters, who doesn't, and what's worth your fight. Leo returned, smirking. You look dangerous today. I've stopped waiting for her to come back, I said, voice low but steady. I've stopped hoping. I've redirected that energy. Strategy over sentiment. Power over longing. The office buzzed around me, but I felt detached, almost untouchable. Every deal I closed felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Every rival I outmaneuvered a subtle proof that I could thrive without her. Sophia stopped by my office mid-afternoon. I heard she's still struggling, she said carefully, eyes flicking toward me. Are you okay with that? I paused, thinking carefully. I won't interfere. Not yet. She wanted freedom. I respect that. But I won't let my emotions cloud my judgment. I have to grow for myself. For her, if she ever comes back, but not for her, for me. She nodded slowly, understanding in her eyes. You're changing, not just for power, but for balance. That's rare, Adrian. I smiled faintly. Balance? Maybe, or maybe I've just learned the cost of obsession. Love can't be possession, and pride can't cage anyone. The afternoon passed in a blur of phone calls and negotiations. Every yes I earned, every deal I secured, reinforced my transformation. I wasn't a desperate lover anymore. I was a man who thrived despite heartbreak. Leo watched from the sidelines, his usual teasing gone. I have to admit, Adrian, you're impressive. Cold, calculated, but impressive. Thanks, I said. Cold? Maybe. Calculated? Definitely impressive. That's up to others to decide. Even as I achieved these victories, Bella lingered in my thoughts. Her laughter, her stubbornness, the fire that had drawn me in. But now the fire didn't consume me. It fueled me. Every memory became a tool, every pang of longing, a reminder of why I refused to be powerless again. Ethan leaned over my desk as the sun set, city lights flickering outside. You've changed. Not just in business, but inside. I can see it. I looked up, eyes steady. Change isn't optional when love and betrayal collide. I've learned. I've adapted. I'm stronger. And the world will respect that. For the first time since she left, I felt a calm certainty. I wasn't chasing Bella anymore. I wasn't desperate. I was thriving. And if she returned or didn't, my life would continue. Stronger, sharper, untouchable. I was walking through the city streets, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows when I heard whispers of her. Not from her directly, but from people who had seen her struggle. Clara met me at the office later, eyes cautious. Adrian, I heard about Bella. I leaned back in my chair, trying to remain calm. What about her? She's struggling, Clara said softly. Financially, socially, it's harder than she expected. She's relying on people who might not have her best interests at heart. I nodded slowly, letting the information settle. Satisfaction pricked at the edges of my mind, but it wasn't triumph. Not entirely. It was tempered with something softer, a lingering care I couldn't deny. She made her choice, I said finally. I can't interfere, I won't. But seeing the consequences, it's unavoidable, isn't it? Clara studied me. It is. But remember, Adrian, this isn't revenge. It's natural consequence. You don't need to take pleasure in her hardships. I exhaled slowly. I know. She wanted freedom. I can't fault her for that. But still, watching her stumble, it's a strange mix of relief and guilt. Later, Ethan joined me in the conference room, leaning casually against the table. Heard about her situation too? Yeah, I said. Seems she's learning the hard way. Ethan shrugged. Life has a way of teaching lessons when people insist on doing things their own way. I frowned slightly. It's one thing to learn, another to suffer. She's capable, smart, but some mistakes they hit harder than others. Ethan smiled faintly. Maybe that's why it matters. Pain teaches respect, humility, and appreciation. For freedom, for life, and even for people who care. I let the words sink in. That subtle lesson, the one I had tried to show her gently before, now unfolded naturally. I wasn't her teacher. I wasn't her jailer. She was learning on her own, and all I could do was observe. At lunch, I overheard colleagues talking. Bella had missed a key opportunity because she refused help from someone she didn't trust. I felt a pang, but not of malice, of recognition. She had always been headstrong, independent, unyielding. And now she was paying the cost. I remembered the cafes, the small apartment, the quiet determination in her eyes. Pride and stubbornness had been her guides. And just as she had chosen freedom, she now faced the reality of it. Clara joined me again in the evening, concern still in her voice. "Are you okay with this? Watching her struggle?" I shook my head slowly. "I'm conflicted. I want to step in, but I know I can't. Part of loving her is letting her face the consequences. Even if it hurts me to see her stumble." "Exactly," she said. "You've grown, Adrian. You're not punishing her. You're respecting her choice, even when the world pushes back." I leaned back, letting the calm of that realization wash over me. The anger, the heartbreak, the obsession, they had shifted into something quieter. A subtle pride, not in power or wealth, but in restraint, understanding, and emotional maturity. Ethan's voice echoed in my mind. "Pain teaches respect, humility, and appreciation." I didn't wish her failure, not truly. But I could appreciate the inevitability of consequence. The natural balance of choices and outcomes. And I could see myself thriving in this new space, still loving her from afar. Still respecting her independence, still stronger than I had ever been. Karma was in motion, as it always is. And for the first time I felt at peace witnessing it. I stepped into the private lounge, the air thick with quiet murmurs and the soft clink of glasses. My social circle had shifted subtly in my absence. Alliances strengthened, rivalries muted, and I noticed the change immediately. Leo leaned in, grinning. "You've got them eating out of your hand today. Looks like your empire's still untouchable." "Untouchable," I repeated, savoring the word. "Not just the empire. My life, my choices, everything I lost and reclaimed." "Lost?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "You mean Bella?" I didn't answer immediately. My eyes scanned the room, catching familiar faces who now seemed drawn to me more than ever. "I don't chase what isn't mine," I said finally. "I let consequences work their way. Sometimes silence is stronger than confrontation." Ethan appeared beside me, shaking his head. "You're playing this well." "Subtle, controlled, I can't tell if it's revenge or just strategy," I smirked. "Both, maybe. But mostly it's proof. Proof that life moves forward, whether someone regrets their choices or not." "I'm not here to humiliate, I'm here to thrive," Leo chuckled. "Thriving looks good on you, Adrian. Bella's probably hearing about your little victories and realizing freedom isn't always what it's cracked up to be." I felt a faint surge of satisfaction, tempered by memory. It wasn't malicious, I wasn't gloating. But watching her understand the cost of independence without my interference was quietly rewarding. Sophia joined us, arms crossed, gaze sharp. "You're enjoying this more than you should," she said softly. "Maybe," I admitted, "but it's not enjoyment. It's observation, understanding consequences, and understanding myself." "You've changed," she said, "not just stronger, but more patient. You don't strike, you wait. You let life show the truth. That's the real power, Adrian." I leaned back, letting her words settle. Patience. Silence. Letting the world reveal its balance. I had been desperate before, angry, heartbroken, obsessed. Now I was calm, in control, untethered by need. A waiter approached with a tray of drinks, and I noticed a familiar face across the lounge. Bella. She hadn't seen me yet. She looked tired, sharper somehow, but not in control. Her independence came with visible effort, a quiet struggle I had anticipated but could only observe. I caught her gaze for a brief second. She recognized me instantly. Her eyes widened, a flash of shock, perhaps regret, maybe pride. But she didn't approach. She couldn't. I didn't move. I simply watched, a silent witness to the life she had chosen. "See that?" Leo whispered. "She's realizing your absence isn't weakness. She can't control this anymore. You're untouchable in ways she isn't." I nodded, voice low. I've stopped needing her validation. She made her choice. I let it be. And in doing so, I regained everything that truly matters. Ethan grinned. "Silent revenge, huh? It suits you. No shouting, no confrontation, just quiet dominance." I smirked again, thinking about the months of heartbreak, struggle, and reflection. This wasn't about hurting her. It was about reclaiming myself, asserting my presence without chaos, showing her without words that power and control come from understanding, not possession. Sophia's voice cut softly through my thoughts. You've mastered it, Adrian. You don't need to strike, you don't need to chase, you just are. I exhaled slowly, eyes returning to Bella, now turning away from the lounge. Her steps were purposeful, but tentative. She had tasted freedom, faced consequences, and realized the weight of her choice. And I? I sat there quietly, a subtle smile playing on my lips. Silent revenge wasn't about destruction. It was about watching life prove a point while I remained unshaken strong, composed, untouchable, and, for the first time in months, whole. The message came unexpectedly simple, unadorned. Can we talk? My chest tightened, and for a moment old instincts screamed to ignore it, to protect the fortress I'd built around my heart. But curiosity, mingled with something I didn't fully recognize, made me agree. I arrived at the small park she had chosen, the air crisp, the city humming softly in the distance. Bella was already there, standing by the fountain, hands fidgeting slightly, eyes wary but defiant. Adrian, she said, voice calm, but the tension beneath it spoke volumes. Bella, I replied, keeping my tone measured. You asked to talk, speak. She exhaled, looking away for a moment. I've made mistakes. Thinking freedom meant I could do it all alone. I underestimated everything. I underestimated myself. I listened quietly, my fingers tightening around the strap of my bag. Go on. Her gaze returned to mine, steady now, though her vulnerability shone through. I thought I needed independence more than love. I thought I could survive without you, without anyone. But I was wrong. I raised a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. Stop. I don't need apologies, Bella. I need honesty. Not excuses, not remorse wrapped in pride. Just truth. She nodded slowly. Truth is, I missed the point. I thought leaving would give me freedom. It did, in a way, but I also lost everything else. Comfort, support, love, and I'm paying for it. Silence stretched between us. I felt the old ache, the old desire to reach for her, to pull her back into my life. But something had shifted. The man who had once chased her, desperate and proud, no longer existed. Bella, I said carefully, voice steady, you've faced consequences. I didn't interfere. I let life teach you what I couldn't. That's enough. I won't undo your experiences. And I won't let you guilt me into believing I owe you something. Her lips parted, eyes widening slightly. I didn't mean to hurt you. I never wanted. You did, I said softly, not angrily. You hurt me by leaving, by thinking I could be controlled or ignored. But that's the past. I've grown, I'm stronger. I've learned that love isn't possession, Bella. And I've learned that I don't need you to validate my life. She blinked, stunned. You're different. I had to be, I said. Heartbreak, betrayal, regret, they shape us if we let them. I've let them teach me. And I've chosen to move forward without losing myself. Her gaze dropped, quiet reflection in her eyes. I see that now. I wish I had understood sooner. I wish I had seen what I had in front of me. I felt a pang, still there, but muted. Love was still there, quietly, without desperation. Maybe you did. Maybe you still do, but it doesn't change the choices made, the lessons learned. And it doesn't mean I'll let the past dictate my present or future. She nodded slowly, pride and regret mingling. I understand. I respect that, truly. Good, I said, voice firm, calm. I want you to know I wish you well, but my life, my heart are mine now. I won't be the man defined by what I lost or who left. I define myself. She smiled faintly, almost wistfully. You've become remarkable, Adrian. Strong, unshakable. I'm proud of you. And I'm at peace, I said, looking past her toward the horizon. Not because of you, not because of us, but because I've chosen myself, and that's enough. She lingered a moment, then turned and walked away, leaving me in the quiet park, the fountain murmuring behind me. I watched her go, a sense of closure settling like a gentle weight. No chase, no desperation, no need for validation. Just me, whole, strong, and unshaken. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. I sat in my study, the city lights flickering through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and let myself finally breathe. The storm of the past months, the heartbreak, the obsession, the anger had faded into something quieter, steadier. Ethan's voice came over the phone. You sound different, Adrian. Calmer. I am, I said, leaning back in my chair. It's like a weight I didn't realize I was carrying gone, at least mostly. You've grown, he said, a note of admiration in his voice. I've seen it. The way you handle business, your life, and even her. That restraint, that's strength. I chuckled softly. Strength, maybe, or just learning the hard way. Love, betrayal, heartbreak, they teach you, if you let them. And I finally did. You finally stopped chasing her? Ethan asked, cautiously. Yes, I admitted. I let her face her choices, and in doing so, I let myself face mine. I don't need to be defined by anyone but me. Not by her. Not by pride. Not by loss. I've reclaimed my life. A soft knock interrupted us, and Sophia stepped into the study. Mind if I join? She asked. Of course, I said. Come in. It's good to see familiar faces after all this. She smiled warmly. I've been watching you, Adrian. You've transformed. Not just in success, but in understanding, in control of your own emotions. That's rare. I looked at her, the faint shadows of my past struggles lingering in my eyes. It wasn't easy. There were moments I wanted to chase, to control, to fix everything for her. But I learned that sometimes love is letting go. Letting people live their choices and letting yourself grow in the process. Ethan nodded. You've earned that clarity. Most people never reach it. I smiled faintly. And Bella, she's moving on too. She's facing her consequences, learning her lessons, finding her path. I can't interfere, and I won't. I hope she thrives just as I do. Sophia leaned against the desk, thoughtful. You've gained something far more valuable than wealth or influence, Adrian. Emotional freedom, the kind that no one can take from you. I let the word settle. Freedom, I echoed softly. I was obsessed with possession, with control, thinking it was love. I see now, love is respect for others and for yourself. I respect her choices and I respect my own journey. Ethan smirked. Sound like someone finally became untouchable. I laughed quietly, a warmth spreading through me I hadn't felt in months. Maybe, not because I control everything, but because I control myself. That's real power. Sophia reached over, her hand brushing lightly against mine. And you did it without losing who you are. That's remarkable. I gazed out the window thinking of the small cafe, the struggle, the heartbreak, the silent revenge, the confrontation, and finally this peace. Bella had learned the weight of her choices, and I had gained clarity, independence, and emotional strength. You're happy, Sophia said softly, reading me perfectly. I am, I said, finally acknowledging it to myself. Not because I have her, not because I triumphed over pride or revenge, but because I found myself. I've grown beyond needing validation, beyond obsession, beyond the past. Ethan raised his glass in a quiet toast over the phone. To growth, freedom, and the man you've become. I mirrored the gesture with a faint smile. To growth, to understanding, to moving forward without fear or regret. The city stretched before me, vast and alive, and I felt a calm certainty. I had endured, learned, and evolved. Life was no longer about what I lost or who left, it was about who I had become. And for the first time, I truly felt whole. Bittersweet, perhaps, but satisfying. Pain and loss had carved space for growth, and in that space I stood unshaken, free, and strong.